The priest's solemn voice echoed through the chapel. To have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do you part. I looked at Lily Warren, standing before me in a pristine white wedding dress. She was as beautiful as a painting and as cold as ice. In our last life, we were entangled for 50 years. We went from being broke kids with nothing to our names to me becoming the wealthiest man in Denver, the head of a multi-billion-dollar corporate empire. I gave her everything I could, wealth, status, and a bottomless well of patience and love. But even as we lay in adjacent hospital beds at the end of our lives, she never once said, "I love you." Her last words to me were a poisoned regret. "Ethan, my life's biggest regret is that I never got to marry Julian. If you ever truly loved me, then in the next life, please, let us be together. Julian Cole, her childhood sweetheart, the one who got away. For him, she gave me the silent treatment, moved into a separate bedroom, and even abandoned our company's IPO celebration party, leaving all our guests behind because he called her distraught from a city halfway across the country. She drove through the night just to comfort him. 50 years, and I could never melt her frozen heart. Now, under the shadow of her dying curse, we were back. Back 50 years at our own wedding. I was just about to say the two words I had never once regretted, "I do." But Lily suddenly looked up. The bridal uncertainty in her eyes was gone, replaced by a sharp, all-knowing clarity and disgust. I knew. She had been reborn, too. "Ethan," she said softly, her voice just loud enough for the first few pews to hear. "Let's call it off." The chapel erupted in a wave of shocked whispers. The priest's glasses nearly slipped off his nose. The smiles on my parents' faces froze. My in-laws went pale. I didn't say a word, just watched her. She met my gaze, her eyes cold and resolute. "The man I love is Julian," she said, each word a carefully placed dagger. "I don't want to make the same mistake again. So please, let me go. Let me and Julian be together." Her words stabbed directly into the wound that had never healed in my past life. Everyone expected me to explode with rage, to demand answers, to tear the wedding apart like a madman. Even Lily herself seemed to brace for my fury, her body tensing slightly. But I didn't. I simply let go of her hand. A faint smile touched the corner of my mouth as I said softly, "Okay." One word, effortless and calm. Lily was stunned. A flicker of disbelief crossed her face. She clearly hadn't expected me to give up so easily. I picked up the microphone from the officiant's lectern and addressed the stunned guests, my voice perfectly level. "Friends and family, my apologies. It seems Ms. Lily Warren has found her true love at the altar today, Mr. Julian Cole. Therefore, today's wedding is canceled. I, Ethan Vance, voluntarily withdraw." With that, I tore the boutonniere from my lapel and dropped it to the floor. I turned and walked down the steps of the chancel. A dead silence hung in the air, followed by a tidal wave of gossip. I could feel Lily's burning gaze on my back, full of suspicion and doubt. She was probably wondering what kind of game I was playing. But I wasn't playing any games. I was just genuinely curious. In our last life, was Lily's reputation as a business legend and the queen of Denver commerce really due to her own talent? Those investment decisions hailed as strokes of genius, the opportunities that made her famous. Did she really seize them on her own? No, it was me. Time and again, I was the one behind the scenes, feeding her priceless information in a way that seemed coincidental. I was the one who pushed her, step by step, to the pinnacle that so many admired. She was like a child whose parents had given her the answer key to every test. She got a perfect score and truly believed she was a genius. This time, I was letting go. I just wanted to see with my own eyes. Without me, the answer key, could Lily Warren even manage a passing grade? As for her and her beloved Julian, I was even more curious. When the man she had idealized for 50 years, her perfect one who got away, had to face the reality of rent and groceries, how much of their pure, unadulterated love would be left? I walked out of the chapel into the blinding sunlight. My parents rushed out after me. My mom was trembling with rage. "Ethan, that woman, Lily Warren, has gone too far. What did our family ever do to deserve this?" Calling off the wedding at the altar, She's publicly humiliated us. My dad, his face grim, put an arm around her. It's better we found out now. A woman like that would be a curse on our house. Seeing them so furious on my behalf, a warmth spread through my chest. In my last life, I had fought with them countless times over Lily, our relationship becoming strained. I always felt they didn't understand my love, that they didn't appreciate Lily's private struggles. How ridiculous it all seemed now. Mom, Dad, don't be angry. It's not worth getting worked up over someone who doesn't matter, I said, calming them. It's over. From now on, no one mentions the name Lily Warren again. Seeing me so resolute, not just speaking out of anger, they looked at me with a new concern. I smiled, pulled out my phone, and, right in front of them, deleted Lily's number, her messages, and every photo I had of her. Then I made a call. Hello, Mr. Peterson. This is Ethan Vance. Yes, Robert Vance's son. I was calling to ask about the Old River North Industrial Park. What's the current status on that property? Right, the one where the roofs leak so bad they look like waterfalls. After I hung up, my parents were completely bewildered. Ethan, why on earth are you asking about that derelict property? My mom asked. That place is cursed. Some developer tried to buy a couple of years back, his financing fell through, and he lost his shirt. I gave them a mysterious smile. Mom, Dad, trust me on this. That land is about to become a gold mine. That's right, the River North Park. It was the starting point of Lily's empire, the first legendary victory that cemented her reputation. In our past life, it happened 3 months after our wedding. Lily, miserable because she missed Julian, started a huge fight with me and stormed out. While I was driving all over the city looking for her, I happened to pass the industrial park and saw a few engineers conducting a geological survey. Curious, I stopped to chat. It turned out the city was planning to lay the main trunk line for a new citywide fiber optic network right under that area, with the goal of creating a brand new tech campus. That information wouldn't be made public for another month. I felt like I'd struck gold. I rushed home and told Lily. She was skeptical at first, but on a whim, she pooled the cash gift from our families, added her own savings, and scraped together $80,000. With that, she bought up the entire patchwork of abandoned properties for a price that was next to nothing. A month later, the city council made the announcement. That worthless piece of land became 50 times more valuable overnight. Just by flipping the properties, Lily cleared nearly $4 million. It was the first real money she ever made, the origin story the media loved to tell. With a shrewd eye and audacious courage, Lily Warren seized the opportunity of a generation. From that day on, she truly believed she was the chosen one. But she never knew that I was the one who handed her the winning lottery ticket. In this life, I was holding on to that ticket myself. Back in the chapel, Lily had finally calmed down her parents and an emotional Julian. Lily, are you sure about this? For me, is it worth it? Julian looked moved but hesitant. His family was working class, and he had always felt insecure around Ethan's well-off family. Lily squeezed his hand, her gaze firm. Julian, you're the future I want. I'm never letting go again. And don't worry, even without Ethan, I can give you the best life possible. Trust me. Her voice radiated a powerful confidence that was contagious. Okay, Lily, I trust you. I'll never let you down. Lily smiled, a flicker of triumphant control in her eyes. She glanced at the empty chapel doorway. The unease she'd felt at Ethan's calm reaction was completely erased by the bright future she envisioned. Ethan was just a pathetic fool, so obsessed with her he'd lost his mind. He might be throwing a tantrum now, but once he cooled off and realized he couldn't live without her, he'd come crawling back. When he did, perhaps she'd be charitable enough to throw him a few scraps. After sending her family and friends away, Lily grabbed Julian and headed straight for the west side of the city. Julian, let's go build our future. Where are we going? The River North Industrial Park, Lily declared, full of ambition. It's the foundation of our empire. But when they rushed into the county clerk's office, a staffer delivered a crushing blow. Sorry, you're too late. About an hour ago, all the deeds for that entire industrial park were purchased by a single buyer. The smile on Lily's face froze. What? Purchased? By who? She cried out, her heart hammering against her ribs. How could this be? At this point in time, besides her, a reborn person, it was impossible for anyone to know the true value of that land. The clerk checked the records. A Mr. Ethan Vance. Boom. Lily felt like she'd been struck by lightning. Her mind went completely blank. Ethan, how could it be him? How could he know the secret of this place? Could it be? Could he also be? A ridiculous, terrifying thought surfaced from the depths of her mind, chilling her to the bone. Impossible. That's absolutely impossible, she muttered, her face ashen. Julian saw her stricken look and steadied her. Lily, what's wrong? It's just some rundown factory. If it's gone, it's gone. We'll find another opportunity. Lily violently shoved his hand away, her eyes boring into him with suspicion and scrutiny. She remembered her last words in her previous life. She herself had begged Ethan to let her be with Julian. Could it be that her dying wish, so full of desperate obsession, had triggered both of their rebirths? So, Ethan knew the entire script of the future, too? No. Lily bit her lip so hard she could taste blood, forcing herself to calm down. So what if he was reborn, too? She knew about all the same opportunities. The industrial park was just the beginning. There was still the dot-com boom, the housing market explosion. She lost one, but she knew of so many more. As long as she could get to them before Ethan, she still had a chance to win. Yes, she had to win. She couldn't lose to the man she had thrown away. Lily's first counterattack came swiftly. She knew that besides the industrial park, another huge opportunity was right around the corner: the rise of a revolutionary domestic tech company. In her past life, a company called Ethereum Technologies had perfected a key piece of domestic semiconductor technology. 3 months from now, its stock would skyrocket by over 100-fold, becoming the Wall Street legend of the year. Right now, Ethereum was just a small startup on the brink of bankruptcy, surviving on loans. Its pre-IPO shares were dirt cheap. Lily gathered all her savings. She even convinced Julian and her parents to chip in, pooling together $200,000. She sank every penny into Ethereum's private stock. With this move, she would win back everything she had lost. As far as she was concerned, it was another sure thing. But she didn't know that I was reborn, too. While she was frantically buying up Ethereum shares, I was in my new office, meeting with Ethereum's founder, a man in his late 40s with graying hair, worn down by his search for funding, Rob Miller. Mr. Vance, the tech campus you're developing at River North. You're really offering to lease it to us? Rob's eyes were full of hope and disbelief. I pushed the freshly signed contract across the table. Not lease. Partner, I'm offering the entire campus, rent-free, for 10 years, in exchange for a 40% stake in Ethereum Technologies. Furthermore, I will be injecting an additional $5 million in cash for R&D and marketing. Rob's hands trembled. $5 million. On top of a campus lease worth millions more. This investment was enough to completely transform Ethereum, taking it from a struggling startup to a fully armed competitor ready for war. Mr. Vance, I don't know what to say. Rob was so emotional he was stammering. You don't have to say anything, I smiled. I only have one condition. Anything. Leak to the press that Ethereum's financing has collapsed and you're about to file for bankruptcy. I want you to drive the stock price down as low as it can possibly go. Rob was confused, but I was the one with the money. He did as I said. Soon, news that Ethereum was on the verge of collapse spread like wildfire through the financial world. The share price plummeted in response. It dropped from $3 a share to $2, then $1. Finally, it hit rock bottom at 50 cents. Countless small-time investors who had believed in Ethereum were selling in a panic. The person in the most agony was Lily. She watched in horror as her $200,000 investment shriveled to less than $30,000 in just 2 weeks. Julian complained constantly, blaming her for her terrible judgment and for losing his money. Her parents called, and while they didn't say it outright, the message was clear: get out now and stop chasing these pipe dreams. Lily was on the verge of a breakdown. She couldn't understand. How could this be happening? In her last life, Ethereum took off at this exact moment. Why was the script completely different this time? Could it be Ethan again? Did he know the news in advance and was intentionally shorting the stock? Under immense pressure and panic, Lily made the same choice as countless other small investors in her past life. She cut her losses and sold off everything. The day after she sold her last share, Ethereum Technologies held a press conference. As the largest shareholder, I stood on the stage next to Rob Miller. We made 3 announcements. First, Ethereum had successfully secured a strategic investment of nearly $10 million and was financially robust. Second, Ethereum had achieved a breakthrough in proprietary 3-nanometer chip design, shattering the foreign monopoly on the technology. Third, the revolutionary new Ethereum smartphone would be officially released next month. The news sent shockwaves through the country. Ethereum stock shot up like a rocket, soaring from 50 cents to $60 in a single day. And it was still climbing at a terrifying rate. The market went into a frenzy. Everyone knew that a new tech giant had just been born. And I, as the company's largest individual shareholder, had become fantastically wealthy overnight. I spotted Lily in the crowd at the press conference. She was squeezed in with the reporters, holding no camera or microphone, just staring at me on the stage. Her once beautiful face was a mask of shock, venom, and disbelief. When our eyes met across the room, I raised my champagne flute to her and smiled. It was the smile of a victor, and a silent mockery. I saw her body sway, as if she was about to collapse. I knew she had lost, utterly and completely. In this round, I had not only taken the wealth that would have been hers, but I had also shattered the supreme confidence she held as someone living life for a second time. After the press conference, I received an expected call. It was Lily. Her voice was hoarse, thick with suppressed rage. "It was you, Ethan, wasn't it? It was, I didn't deny it. Why would you do this to me? I already gave you the wedding. I gave everything back to you. So why do you still have to fight me for this? Do you have any idea that $200,000 was everything I had?" She was practically screaming. Listening to her impotent fury on the other end of the line, I found it almost funny. "Lily, have you misunderstood something?" My voice was cold, devoid of any emotion. "First, you didn't give me the wedding. You publicly humiliated me and my family by calling it off at the altar. Second, the everything you refer to was never yours to begin with. Without me, you wouldn't have even known that the land at River North existed. And third, the fact that it was all the money you had. What does that have to do with me?" Lily was so choked with anger she couldn't speak. I paused, then continued. "Lily, you still don't get it. This isn't a game. This is business. You're using your memories to make money, and I'm using mine. We're both playing the game. You lost. You have no one to blame but yourself. How dare you say that to me? You're nothing special. You just knew things a little sooner than I did." "Exactly," I admitted freely. "I just knew. But have you ever stopped to think why, in our last life, I just so happened to coincidentally tell you about one massive opportunity after another?" The line went dead silent. I knew that her heart, so long shielded by arrogance and pride, had finally begun to crack. "Don't call me again," I said. "I have no interest in a love story between you and your precious Julian. Good luck to you." I hung up and immediately blocked her number. Finally, some peace and quiet. But it wasn't over. Knowing Lily's personality, she would never give up so easily. Someone who was used to acing an open book test would go insane if they were suddenly forced to take the final blind. Sure enough, it wasn't long before a woman named Sophia Reyes came to see me. She was a top attorney at a prestigious law firm, dressed in a sharp, professional suit, her demeanor calm and direct. "Mr. Vance, good morning. I have been retained by Ms. Lily Warren to formally file a lawsuit against you." I raised an eyebrow. "A lawsuit? For what?" Sophia handed me a legal notice. "Ms. Warren alleges that you used your knowledge from a shared past life to steal commercial opportunities that rightfully belong to her, causing her immense financial and emotional distress. She is demanding full compensation for all her losses, as well as the unconditional transfer of the River North property and all your shares in Ethereum Technologies to her name." I read the absurd demands on the page and actually laughed out loud. It was the funniest joke I'd heard in 2 lifetimes. Using knowledge from a past life? Stealing her opportunities? The audacity was breathtaking. "Ms. Reyes, do you actually believe a word of this? Reincarnation? That's something out of a bad TV show, and you're a top lawyer," I said, pushing the document back across the desk. "Do you know what this kind of lawsuit is called in legal terms?" Sophia's expression didn't change. "Please enlighten me." "It's called a frivolous claim," I said, looking her in the eye. "You're a top-tier attorney. You should know that a complaint based on being reborn wouldn't even be accepted by the court clerk. I'm curious. What possessed you to take on such a ridiculous case? Sophia's gaze flickered for a fraction of a second before returning to its calm state. I have a professional duty to represent my client's interests to the best of my ability. Is that so? I lean back in my chair. My sources tell me your firm is currently trying to land a major new client, Ethereum Technologies. I suspect you took Ms. Warren's case not for her legal fees, but as a way to demonstrate your skills to my new company through me. The color finally drained from Sophia's face. I needed a top-tier legal team to handle my company's growing complexities, and Sophia and her firm had been on my radar for a while. She was capable, ambitious, but also a pragmatist. I needed her to understand who she should really be working for. Sophia was silent for a moment before speaking again. You are very perceptive, Mr. Vance. She didn't deny it. But that doesn't change the fact that, as Ms. Warren's counsel, I will fight to secure the best possible outcome for my client, she said, maintaining her professional front. Fine, inojid. I respect your professional ethics. In that case, please inform your client. I'll see her in court. Sophia gave me a long, searching look, gathered her documents, and left. After she was gone, my assistant Matt came in, looking worried. Mr. Vance, this Lily Warren is unbelievable. How could she pull a stunt like this? We know she can't win, but the negative press could still hurt the company's reputation. Don't worry about it, I said unconcerned. If she wants to make a scene, let her make a big one. It's perfect timing, actually. The gift I have prepared for her is just about ready for delivery. Soon, news of Lily's lawsuit started spreading across tabloid sites and social media forums. The headlines were more sensational than the last. Jilted wife's accusation. My ex-husband stole my memories to build his empire. The most bizarre lawsuit ever? The dark secret behind Denver's new tech mogul, Ethan Vance. The rumors flew. While most people found the story too bizarre to be true, there were enough trolls and conspiracy theorists to start slinging mud in my direction. The company's stock experienced a slight dip. Meanwhile, Lily embraced the role of the victim, giving interviews to any small media outlet that would listen. On camera, she wept, telling a heart-wrenching story of my cruelty and deceit. She claimed the business opportunities were hers, discovered through the painful memories of a future she had already lived. She claimed I had taken advantage of her love for me, tricked her into trusting me, and then despicably stolen the fruits of her knowledge. She claimed she was now destitute, unable to even build a stable life with her true love, Julian. Her performance was convincing, earning her a fair amount of public sympathy. Julian was by her side the whole time, playing the part of the devoted partner, occasionally shouting at the camera about my shameless greed. They painted themselves as a pair of star-crossed lovers being crushed by a corporate villain. Watching them twist the truth on screen just disgusted me. Just as the public narrative reached its peak, I had Ethereum's PR department release a video. It was security footage from my office. The footage was from the day Sophia Reyes came to see me. We had muted the audio, but added clear, accurate subtitles that showed our entire conversation. It especially highlighted the part where Sophia admitted her real motive for taking the case was to win Ethereum's business. The video ended with my final line to my assistant. It's perfect timing, actually. The gift I have prepared for her is just about ready for delivery. The moment the video dropped, public opinion flipped on a dime. Whoa, plot twist. So Lily's own lawyer was basically working with Ethan Vance from the start? This looks like they teamed up to play her for a fool. The gift I have prepared. That's cold-blooded. It proves Vance saw all of this coming and was just waiting for her to walk right into his trap. LOL. Stole my Reborn memories. What's next? The aliens told me the winning lottery numbers? This Lily woman has been reading too many fantasy novels. Can't feel sorry for her anymore. Seems like she's gone crazy for money. Within hours, the tide of public opinion turned from sympathy for Lily to outright ridicule. Sophia Reyes and her law firm were plunged into a professional crisis. A lawyer having a private understanding with the opposing party is a serious ethical breach. Sophia quickly issued a statement announcing that she was dropping Lily as a client, implying that she had been misled and used by her. Just like that, Lily was completely alone. Not only had her lawsuit failed, but she had also become the city's biggest laughingstock. The sympathy she and Julian had scraped together by playing the victims evaporated instantly. I thought that would be the end of it. But I had underestimated her obsession. Or perhaps I had underestimated the crushing weight of poverty. Having spent all her money and now buried under a mountain of public shame, life for Lily and Julian became harder than ever. They were living in a run-down apartment, fighting daily about rent and groceries. Julian's patience quickly wore thin. He started staying out all night. He started gambling, and Lily blamed me for all of it. In her mind, I was the one who had ruined her life. One stormy night, she showed up at the foot of my new downtown office building. She was soaked to the bone, her hair plastered to her face. The eyes that once held such arrogance were now filled with nothing but manic desperation and venom. "Ethan, get down here," she shrieked hysterically. Security guards tried to stop her, but she fought back like a cornered animal, scratching and biting. I stood at my panoramic window, looking down at the pathetic woman on the street below, and felt nothing. I sent my assistant down to handle it. Matt came back and told me that Lily claimed to have a bombshell secret that could destroy both me and Ethereum Technologies. She demanded to see me to make one last deal. I scoffed. Her? But then I reconsidered. Send her up. I wanted to see what kind of desperate, final move this woman, whom I had backed into a corner, could possibly make. That meeting would uncover a truth behind our lifetime-long entanglement that was far darker and more sickening than I could have ever imagined. Lily was escorted into my office. She looked even more haggard than before, but the crazed look in her eyes had intensified. She stared at me like a viper ready to strike. "So what's this bombshell secret?" I asked coolly, in no mood for pleasantries. Lily took a deep breath, pulled a stack of documents from her bag, and slammed them on my desk. "You think you've won, Ethan? You think you're safe now that you're Ethereum's biggest shareholder?" She sneered. "Well, I'm telling you, Ethereum is about to go down in flames. And you're going to end up with nothing, just like me." I picked up the documents and flipped through them casually. They were technical specifications and design schematics for Ethereum's core semiconductor. They weren't complete, but there was enough there for any competitor to glean our most vital trade secrets. "Where did you get these?" I asked, my brow furrowing slightly. This was Ethereum's most classified information. Even I had only seen parts of it. How could Lily possibly have gotten her hands on it? "That doesn't matter." A triumphant look spread across Lily's face. "What matters is that I have the complete data, and I've already been in contact with Ethereum's biggest international rival, Oceanic Global. Once I hand this over to them, what do you think will happen to Ethereum's stock price? How far do you think Denver's new golden boy is going to fall?" Her eyes gleamed with the thrill of revenge. She had finally found a weapon she could use against me. I set the documents down, looked at her, and suddenly smiled. "What are you smiling about?" My reaction clearly unnerved her. "I'm smiling because you are, without a doubt, the most hopelessly naive person I have ever met," I said, shaking my head with a look of pity. "You think you're holding a royal flush, but you have no idea that the person who dealt you this hand wants you buried." The color drained from Lily's face. "What are you talking about?" Instead of answering, I pressed the intercom on my desk. "Matt, please ask Rob and Ms. Reyes to come up." Moments later, Rob Miller, Ethereum's founder, and Sophia Reyes, now my company's chief legal counsel, walked in. When they saw Lily and the documents on my desk, their expressions became incredibly grim. "Mr. Vance." Rob's voice trembled slightly. I held up a hand to calm him. Then I looked at Lily and asked, enunciating every word, "The person who gave you these documents, his name was Julian Cole, wasn't it?" Lily's pupils contracted violently. Her reaction confirmed everything. The last piece of the puzzle clicked into place. I looked at her as if she were the butt of some cosmic joke. "Lily, did you know? The man you treasure so much, the one you were willing to abandon your own wedding for, he was a pawn planted by your side from the very beginning." I had Sophia hand another file to Lily. "See for yourself." With trembling hands, Lily took the file. It was an investigative report detailing all of Julian's movements and financial transactions over the past several months. The report showed that Julian had not only gambled away the last of Lily's money behind her back, but had also racked up massive debts. And the person who had paid off his debts and given him a substantial sum of money was a corporate spy from Oceanic Global. Their goal was to use Julian to get close to Lily exploiting her resentment toward me, her ex-husband, to steal Ethereum's trade secrets. And they had succeeded. Julian had easily manipulated Lily, who was already blinded by jealousy and desperation, making her believe she had obtained a secret weapon that would let her win back her fortune. He told her that once I was ruined, Oceanic Global would give her a huge payout to start over. Lily believed him. She took the secret files from Julian and rushed here to threaten me, never realizing she had become a disposable pawn in a much larger game. The moment Julian handed her those documents, he had already taken the money from Oceanic Global, bought a one-way ticket, and fled the country. He had never loved her. Not for a second. No. That's impossible. Julian would never do this to me. Lily collapsed to the floor, her face a deathly white, muttering to herself, completely broken. The love she had fantasized about for an entire lifetime, the idealized man she had thrown everything away for, was nothing more than an elaborate, cruel deception. What she thought was her salvation was actually the final push into the abyss. I watched her, a hollowed-out shell of a person, and felt not a shred of pity. I walked over, crouched down in front of her, and told her an even harsher truth in a voice only she could hear. Lily, do you know what Oceanic Global will do once they have this data? She looked up, her eyes vacant. They will immediately announce to the world that Ethereum's technology was stolen from them. Then, using this as proof, they'll file international patent lawsuits that will bury our company in legal fees and destroy our reputation. I paused, staring directly into her eyes. And you, Lily, as the person who stole and leaked corporate trade secrets, what do you think is waiting for you? Lily's body began to shake violently. The full weight of the law. Financial penalties so high she would spend the rest of her life in prison. A future with no hope of escape. Why? She asked through her tears, her voice a ragged whisper. You knew all along, didn't you? You knew Julian was setting me up, and you just waited. You waited to watch me fall. Yes, I admitted it without hesitation. From the moment you hired Sophia, I knew something was wrong. A person who could barely afford her rent suddenly retains the most expensive lawyer in Denver. So, I had Sophia pretend to take your case, to follow the thread, and see who was really pulling the strings. And that's when we found Julian, and Oceanic Global. I stood up, resuming my position of power, looking down at her. You tied the noose around your own neck, Lily. All I did was kick the chair out from under you. In that instant, the last bit of light in Lily's eyes died, replaced by an endless void of regret and terror. The outcome was exactly as expected. Sophia's team immediately called the police. Lily was taken into custody on the spot for felony corporate espionage. Using the information Lily provided, we worked with the authorities to set a trap, and we successfully dismantled Oceanic Global's entire spy network in the state. Ethereum Technologies suffered no damages. In fact, our reputation soared. We were hailed as a pillar of American innovation. Our stock price entered another round of explosive growth. And I, as the man who had calmly navigated the entire storm, solidified my position as a titan of the business world. A few months later, the trial began. Lily, as the key witness for the prosecution, testified against Oceanic Global. In the end, due to her substantial cooperation, she was sentenced to 10 years in prison. For her, it was probably a mercy, but I knew the real thing that destroyed her wasn't the prison sentence. It was the beautiful 2-lifetime-long illusion that she had shattered with her own hands. I saw her one last time in the courtroom. She wore a prison uniform, her hair cut short, revealing a pale, gaunt face. As the bailiffs led her away, she suddenly turned and looked back at me. Her eyes no longer held hatred or resentment, only an indescribable, complex emotion. Maybe it was regret. Maybe it was an apology. Maybe both. But it didn't matter to me anymore. The moment I tore off my boutonniere and walked out of that chapel, our 50-year entanglement was over. Her story had reached its end, and my life was just beginning. Another year passed. My business empire flourished. Ethereum Technologies became a leader not just domestically, but globally. Using my knowledge of the future, I diversified into real estate, software, and a dozen other fields, creating a true dynasty. My relationship with Sophia had also blossomed into something real and profound. She was brilliant, independent, and confident. With her, I found a true partner. We had endless things to talk about, shared goals, and a mutual respect I'd never known. With her, I finally understood what it felt like to be in a relationship of equals, to be truly loved. We got engaged and were planning a small wedding for the following month. Just when I thought the past was finally behind me, I received a call from the state penitentiary. It was the warden. He told me Lily Warren was critically ill. Before being taken to the ICU, she had been repeating my name, asking to see me one last time. My first instinct was to refuse, but for some reason I couldn't explain, I agreed. Perhaps it was to put a final, definitive end to this two-lifetime saga of love and hate. I saw Lily again in the intensive care unit. She was lying in a hospital bed, hooked up to a dozen machines. The face that had once captivated me was now skeletal, as pale as the sheets she lay on. When she saw me, a flicker of light appeared in her cloudy eyes. She summoned all her strength and reached a hand toward me. I hesitated for a moment, then stepped forward and took her cold hand in mine. Van. Her voice was as faint as the buzz of fly. I'm here. Saw the... She said it. I remained silent. An apology, 50 years too late, meant nothing. She seemed to know it, too. She struggled to breathe, speaking in broken fragments. No, it's too late. I just wanted to tell you one thing. I have proof of Julian's crimes. I hid it in the park we used to go to, in the gazebo. My heart stopped. My breath caught in my throat. Lily couldn't speak anymore. On the monitor, her heartbeat flatlined. Doctors and nurses rushed in, beginning emergency resuscitation. I was ushered out of the room, her last words echoing in my mind. I went straight to the park and found the evidence, a USB drive in a small plastic case, tucked away on a beam inside the gazebo. At the same time, I hired investigators to track down Julian, who had fled overseas. A month later, Julian Cole was apprehended by Interpol and extradited back to the United States. He would now face justice for his crimes. The final verdict was coming for everyone who had betrayed another. Lily didn't make it. I heard she was peaceful at the end. I didn't attend her funeral. I just stood at my office window, watching the endless flow of traffic below, a profound sense of calm washing over me. Sophia came up from behind and wrapped her arms around me. It's all over, she said softly. I turned, took her hands in mine, and smiled. Yes, I said, it's all over. In my last life, I spent 50 years entangled with Lily, and it left me exhausted and broken. In this life, it took me only 1 year to sever the chains of the past. I let go. I let go of a love that was never worth fighting for, and I let go of a woman who was never truly mine. And in doing so, I gained the whole world. Sunlight streamed through the glass, glinting off the wedding rings on my and Sophia's fingers. This, I knew, was my real brand new life.